Welcome to the 55th Annual Academic Conference for Scientific Advancement. Our two keynote speakers today represent the fields of physics and psychology. Please join me in welcoming them.
My paper is entitled, The Death of Everything We Know.
My paper is entitled, The Death of Everything We Know.
One day, everything we know will disappear.
One day, everything we know will disappear.
The universe, you see, has a finite lifespan. Once upon a time, we believed it to be undying, a living God. Now, we believe its days are numbered.
Life necessitates death. Even before birth, our days are numbered. Even as tiny creatures, sheltered from the world and its horrors in our mother's warm bellies, we have already begun dying.
It's called the heat death of the universe. The second law of thermodynamics says that in a closed system like our universe, entropy must constantly increase or stay the same. Our universe seeks equilibrium, and that equilibrium is a frigid cold where there is no longer enough heat for anything to happen. Eventually, even the brilliantly hot stars will begin to cool and slow, to cool and slow, and cool and slow.
It's a process called synaptic pruning. Think of it as the natural selection of the brain. Axons and dendrites slowly decay and die as they're no longer needed. There begins to be a sort of competition in our brains between synapses, where only the strongest survive. You either use the synaptic connection and strengthen it, or it is lost.
By then, our Earth will be lost. The pressure in the sun's core will become so strong that hydrogens will lose their electrons, and the resulting fusion will cause the sun to grow until it envelops the Earth. It will become so massive it collapses in on itself, and our solar system will be lost to time.
Parts of ourself begin to fade away. The prefrontal cortex, cerebellum, and hippocampus begin to shrink. The neurons shrink along with them. Dendrites pull back, and synapses drop faster than they ever have. And, unlike before, there are no stronger synapses to take their place.
But all of that will happen eons before the final death. By then, humanity might have reached beyond our solar system, might have spread to the edges of the universe. Or maybe humanity will be long dead, victims of some freak of nature or our own hubris.
Suddenly, we're having trouble remembering. We are not as coordinated as we used to be. We're talking and we lose our train of thought far more than we used to. We notice that we are not who we once were. We are victims of the constancy of time. When the time is up, when death finally arrives, the brain
universe
will not
quit all at once. It will be a slow death, reaching outward with skeletal hands. The oldest parts, the genesis of the universe, will die first, cooling and slowing until they no longer move. They will hang empty and barren, futureless.
Harvard biologist Aristides Liao called it a spreading depression, a wave of darkness that dominoes through each neuron in the brain. There is a mass depolarization of each neuron as they grasp for their last sips of blood, of chlorine, oxygen, and any remaining scrap of chemical energy. For almost a minute after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps dying. The freezing death will creep outward,
infecting galaxy after galaxy. They will slowly spin to a stop, like a top that has run out of momentum. Only the black holes will survive, and the universe will enter an age when the black holes consume and consume.
Neuroscientists had the opportunity to witness a man breathe his last breath under a brain scanner called an EEG. They noticed a familiar pattern of slow, rhythmic waves, oscillating up and down, the same waves that appear when we dream. We can only guess what he was dreaming about, but most of the researchers believed it to be life recall, his life flashing before him in his last moments. It's a beautiful dream that we're all destined to have, based on a reality that we've experienced. Yes, we are dying, but we can't get there without having lived first.
But Stephen Hawking suggests that black holes leak particles. It's at a cosmically slow rate, but when the universe is almost dead, time will hardly matter. In the end, even the black holes will disintegrate, and there will no longer be enough heat for whatever is left to start over. The universe started with a bang, but it will die in frigid stillness.
But before we die, there is life. We aren't dead yet, right? We still have a life we have yet to experience. The cells in our brain and our body are constantly dying and being reborn, like a galaxy of stars that fade in and out of existence, creating this massive, complex, and lively thing we call the brain, our own tiny universe. And as we exist in our tiny universe, the real one is still growing and breathing right alongside us.
Before the universe dies, there is life. There are birds chirping, trees stretching, bees buzzing, and you and I, people, living every single day. Our stories matter just as much as every black hole, planet, star, and nebula we peer up at. Humanity continues to learn and grow, and our experiences mean something too. We need to span out.
Life is so much more than our individual experience. Right now, our universe is in what is called the Stelliferous Era, also known as the Age of Stars. Our universe is expanding and new stars are constantly being born. The era won't last forever, of course, but its end is so far away, even physicists have trouble quantifying it.
Why worry about the death of the universe when there is an entire life transpiring right in front of us?
About our own death when the universe is so much bigger than us. Not only is our universe in a period of growth and life, but we're learning more about it every day. The JWST telescope sits among the stars, learning all it can about the origins of the universe and bringing us images of celestial bodies once thought to be impossible.
As we accomplish what was once thought to be impossible in space, we have our own vivid stories being told inward as well. You dig into a rich chocolate fudge cake and millions of molecules of dopamine are firing all throughout your brain. You cuddle your partner after a long day of work and you're flooded with oxytocin. We go for a run and our bodies may feel like hell, but our brains are filled with serotonin and endorphins.
The telescope builds on the discoveries of the Hubble telescope. We are stepping into the wider universe with the help of all of those who came before us, and scientists look forward to what the following generations will discover about our home.
Every time we remember or digest information, our synapses are strengthening more and more. We create stories with each and every connection we make. Our brains continue to grow for as long as
we are learning more about the universe constantly. We now understand the life cycle of stars, like our own sun. They begin their lives as protostars before growing into main sequence stars, like our sun. Next, they expand and turn wild, becoming red giants. They continue to grow until they collapse and fade into dwarf stars. They live entire lives, just as we do, and it doesn't seem unrealistic to take hope from that. As cliche as it sounds, we are made of star stuff.
Humanity doesn't die when we do. We are constantly making connections with others. We create an impact every time we interact. We pass our experiences and our knowledge onto our friends, our lovers, our coworkers, and strangers. Every new generation is a culmination of the experiences of the last. Our story isn't over with us. We're just a chapter, a sentence, a word on the page. It's all a matter of timing.
When physicists and astrobiologists look at the age of the universe, they realize it's quite young. The billions of years it's been around is a tiny percentage of its entire lifespan. In fact, one theory for why humanity hasn't encountered extraterrestrial life yet is because we're simply too early. We may be the universe's first children.
Our future pales in comparison to the power of our present.
There may be the promise of death perpetually looming over us, but there's a promise of life before that.
What's the point in spending our finite time on Earth worried about the inevitable?
Death will wait for us. It will arrive when we're ready.
Until then, we can learn.
We can grow.
We can discover.
We can share.
We can create.
We can love. Ultimately, the universe is so much bigger than us. But just because the universe is so vast, that does not mean we are insignificant. We are star stuff. We are the universe incarnate, the universe and us. We are alive for exactly as long as we need to be.